Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 9 of the 12 days of bookings. I'm indeed Nate the Effing Great. This is the Game Changer, and I have been doing bookings all throughout the month, and basically showing that I am indeed an effing genius, no ding required. So, for this one, we actually had this requested by the one and only Mr. Moose. Are you ready to bust some heads? No, I'm not talking about the wrestler in Impact Wrestling. I'm actually talking about my good friend, as well as one of the co-hosts of the Game Changer, Mr. Kyle the Moose. He requested that I actually talk a bit about the Women's Tag Team Championships. Now, I've actually talked a little vividly about them, actually even throughout this month. Ever since WWE Evolution came along, I actually did a booking about that. From there, I also did a booking about it at the first booking of the month for the SoCal Val one, so definitely check that one out. So I'm going to try and kind of have them kind of overlap each other, kind of add a little bit more onto that. For a lot of the details, I'm not going to really go through every single detail. Definitely go check out the first booking of the year that I did in the early December part. So yeah, I'm not going to really touch base on that, but I am going to go through a lot more of the things that definitely should happen going into this. So, how would I book the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships? So, obviously, when I talked about WWE Evolution, one of the things that I said should happen is to have a tournament between Raw and SmackDown, and basically having them culminate in a tournament in which we see a very interesting deal where we have the Iconics versus the Riot Squad facing off against each other in the finals of the tournament. And the Riot Squad takes the victory. So after that, I would continue a little bit of the Bayley and Sasha Banks team up, the Boss and Hug connection, have them feud with the Riot Squad going into the TLC event. And I would have the tag team titles be put on the line in a ladder match. And basically, I would have the Riot Squad, like I said, Riot Squad versus Boston Hug connection in a ladder match at TLC. And this is where I would really start getting build up into the Sasha versus Bayley deal. I'm not sure if I really covered too much into it. I think that I only touched briefly on it for WWE Evolution. So this is where it's going to really start picking up some steam. Basically, during this matchup, we have Sarah Logan and Sasha Banks battling on the outside. Ruby Riott actually gets banned from ringside. Bayley and Liv Morgan are in the ring, and actually Liv Morgan does a rake to the eyes of Bayley. Bayley is completely blinded. She has no idea, what's going on. Sasha attacks Liv, knocks her out of the ring. Sasha goes to Bayley. She's basically trying to check on her, see if she's doing okay. Before she even says anything, she touches Bayley's shoulder. Bayley assumes that it's one of the Riot Squad members, so she grabs Sasha, Bayley to belly, and before she even knows it, Sarah Logan tosses her out, and we see that be the moment where they capitalize and the Riot Squad pick up the victory. So then I would have a little bit of the dissension in the ranks between Sasha and Bayley. This is where they start kind of, feuding up with each other and really starting to have that kind of harsh chemistry that they would have. We would then have a rematch between the two teams on the New Year's edition of Raw. During this matchup, I would actually have the I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. I would have Sasha basically do the backstabber on Bayley. Then she would get the Riot kick from Ruby Riott for the 3 count. Ruby Riott and the Riot Squad retain their titles again. And then they would go into the Royal Rumble with the tag team titles. I would have them fight off against the Iconics. Yes, that was exactly what I had planned. I would have them fight the Iconics at Royal Rumble, and during this matchup, I would have the Iconics they're just about there to reach that point of winning the tag team titles. But unfortunately, the Riot Squad get themselves disqualified and hold on to the belts. So we get the build into the rematch on an episode of SmackDown, actually, because honestly, guys, you got to still have some of these feuds spill into the into the actual shows to keep it must-see TV. So we have the rematch between the Iconics and the Riot Squad on SmackDown, in which the Riot Squad cheat to win, and they retain their titles at that point. Then we go into WrestleMania, where they take on California. This is where I'm going to fast forward a bit and actually have California dominate all the way until, I believe it's September, early October, because then, like I said, in the booking deal, I would have basically Chelsea Green turn on California and cost them the tag team titles. And who would be winning the tag team titles? Why? The Iconics. They have definitely earned their spot, and this is one of those moments where I would actually have them really start building up and really start having them do a lot more really good matches and build them up as a team that people would want to see as tag team champions. Then I would have them defeat, like I said, California, and I would set the rematch 1 year to the date. I would have the Iconics taking on the Riot Squad in a rematch from 1 year ago. Basically, it's one of those moments where we see the Iconics have never gotten a full-fledged clean victory over the Riot Squad, so it's finally time to see if they can put those to rest. And by this point, the Iconics have definitely been very versatile. They definitely are more veterans in the ring than what they were a year ago. So the Iconics, with just so much determination and so much heart, they pick up the victory over the Riot Squad at WWE Evolution, putting that to rest. Then we would build up into a feud with Nia Jax and Tamina against the Iconics, and it would happen in a tables match between the two of them. And during this matchup, we see Nia Jax and Tamina. They're just dominating. They're doing everything, but because of the speed of the Iconics, because of the speed of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, they are able to speed up and avoid getting thrown through the tables by Tamina and by Nia Jax. We would see the Iconics just barely pick up a victory after hitting a double suplex on Tamina through the tables, and then we would get a rematch between these two teams at the Royal Rumble, in which we would see Tamina and Nia Jax win the tag team titles. They would just dominate the women's division going into WrestleMania season. They would beat the Iconics in their rematch. They would defeat the Riot Squad. They would defeat any other team that's really just been put in their way, all the way built up until Fastlane, where we would get a match in which Nia Jax is saying, we've beaten every team and we're going to prove that our dominance here in singles action, so bring out somebody. Out comes Io Shirai. Io Shirai takes on Nia Jax in a very physical matchup, but also a very fast-paced matchup. And in the end, Io Shirai would actually pick up the victory over Nia Jax here at Fastlane. And during this point, we see Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. They've really established themselves as a tag team. And a lot of people are assuming going into WrestleMania season, well, it's going to be Nia Jax and Tamina versus Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. Not the case at all. We go into WrestleMania season, they make the announcement, but then we see Nia Jax and Tamina. They injured Dakota Kai, and it seems like Io Shirai is going to be going into WrestleMania all by her lonesome when she runs into a very beloved babyface in the form of Kairi Sane. So we get Kairi Sane and Io Shirai taking on Tamina and Nia Jax at WrestleMania. And this matchup would have, powerhouse games. We would have the fast-paced style of Io Shirai and Kairi Sane just really, taking it to Tamina and Nia Jax. During this point, we would see miscommunication by Tamina and Nia Jax, where they would either bump into each other or one of them would just club each other by accident. They get knocked down. We see Io Shirai and Kairi take down the other one, and then we would see both of them go into the top rope. Io Shirai with a moonsault, Kairi Sane with the pirate elbow. They look to go for a cover, but then they look at each other and they smile. They go to the opposite ends of the rings, and then they hit the moonsault and the elbow drop again, but this time on their opposite opponents. So basically, like how I would have it booked is I would have, if Kairi hits it on Tamina and Shirai hits on Nia Jax, it would basically switch off where we'd see, Sane hitting Jax, and I would have Shirai hitting Tamina. We'd have a double pin, 1, 2, 3. Io Shirai and Kairi Sane win the tag team titles at WrestleMania. So we kind of see a little bit of a pattern going on here, and it's kind of one of those things where they can even bring that as a statistic that, hey, the titles have been defended twice here, and there has not been a successful win. And honestly, I would have Io Shirai and Kairi Sane hold the belts probably for the rest of the year, because honestly, it gets a little bit of that international flavor. You also get some really good matches. I would love kind of the pairing of the two of them. You could even have a little small feud where Dakota Kai, she comes back, she wants to be Io Shirai's partner, and it's one of those situations where, Sane is kind of more insulted about this. Then we see Dakota Kai, maybe she brings in somebody, maybe she even pairs up with somebody like Lacey Evans, and we get a feud there. It's kind of one of those things where it just builds up itself. So that is how I kind of would book it. I kind of almost booked about maybe a year and a half's worth of the bookings deal. And what this accomplishes is that we get some really good matches out of these women. We get different faces introduced to the scene. We get some familiar faces introduced to the scene. Like I said, we give a lot of the people that deserve their credit where credit is due. We get even a storied rivalry come to a head at WWE Evolution, where it definitely should, to make that event that much more special. So, yeah, honestly, I feel pretty good about this booking. So, Kyle, Mr. Moose, I am hoping that you enjoyed this booking. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think would be the best candidates for the Women's Tag Team Championships when they come to be? Because I think it's only going to be a matter of time. I don't think it's going to be if it's going to happen. It's going to be a matter of when it happens. So we'll see what happens, you guys. Thank you so much for listening in to this edition. We got 3 more to go, you guys, and these next 3 are going to be absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. So be sure to tune in, you guys. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at RealFNGame. Give me a like on our Facebook fan page. Facebook.com/Changing Up the Game. You can listen to us here on Spreaker.com as well as on iTunes, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. So I'm off, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.